All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth with Ben Jokes. Security experts have urged swift action to halt insecurity in Nigeria, warning it could cause food shortages nationwide. Well, I'm afraid there is little or nothing that can be done about this. Already, it has started. I do a lot of market surveys, and just yesterday I discovered that the last 2 months of intensified killings, general insecurity in Nigeria has greatly impacted negatively on the cost of food items. Tomatoes, pepper, and vegetable prices have soared greatly. And don't be fooled, it is not because of Easter celebration. Oh, watch it. After Easter, prices will rise even more. The fact is that there is no deliberate effort from government to tackle inflation. All they do is spread propaganda to see how they can lie their way into the minds of gullible Nigerians, who sadly constitute over 70% of us. But that is not a game that can continue. It is not sustainable. And few hours ago, the northern bloc of the APC, the CPC bloc, responded to recent reports that they will be dumping the APC, and their response put more pressure on the already confused Tinubu camp. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that, IMF betrayed Tinubu with very terrible remarks about his first 2 years in office. Yes, Tinubu has abandoned the country and he has run to London, but he cannot hide from his failure, and his disgraceful scorecard was sent to him in London by the IMF. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you this video. The first video here is from Peter Obi's running mate, the bold and daring Yusuf Datti. See the video.
I expect Tinubu to throw in the towel. If he is that smart politician that he turns out to be. You know me, I say the truth. For someone to have organized 2007, culminating in his electoral heist in 2023, that person must be super smart politician. I'm not praising him at all. It's not good to be what really he is that I don't want to say. But look, he skipped 2007 and jokingly made Atiku candidate, made Ribadu and somebody 11, made Buhari in 15, Buhari won, and then skipped 2019 and then stole 2023. If he is that smart, everything is there for him that he's going to lose 2027. If he is that smart, because everything is there. There are 2 possible candidates that I cannot mention, and they are the nemesis of Tinubu. Tinubu's time has come. It has been proven that APC is a lie. Buhari did not develop Nigeria. Buhari did not provide security. Buhari did not fight corruption. Neither will Tinubu ever do this. So going forward, I see APC losing this election. I see Nigerians somehow uniting. Listening to what someone like me is saying that, look, if you cannot practice this democracy, it's not for you. And then Nigerians will decide to come out and practice democracy for the first time. And then bad leadership will begin to have no hiding place in Nigeria. And then gradually we'll begin to heal our land. We'll begin to recover. We'll begin to unite and take each other's as fellow Nigerians, brothers and sisters. Their time is up.
You heard that. Yusuf Datti there, bold as always. And he said something quite interesting there. He said, there are 2 candidates that I would not like to mention. And that for me signals that there may be an underground coalition work going on, and he does not want to reveal the possible candidates yet. But we cannot confirm that now anyway. And of course, we know that Tinubu does not plan to retain the seat in Aso Rock by winning with the people's votes. This man has never cared about the people's mandates. He plans to do the same thing he did in 2023, which is to rig the election and find a way around it with the judiciary. He has already appointed a Chief Justice of Nigeria, Kekere Ekun, who is loyal to him. And next, he is going to change the INEC chairman. I believe 100% that they are already shopping for the person who is going to be the next INEC chairman, a Core Yoruba man. And he has already made state governors offers that most of them will not be able to refuse. You have heard some of them coming out to say useless things like Tinubu must do 8 years. Governor of Edo State, Monday Okpebolo, began rolling out campaign pictures for Tinubu last week before he was stopped. How despicable that can be. So what is left now is clearly the people. It is now the people versus the political elites, because there is nothing that Tinubu is going to do that will favor the people. And once you are doing something against the people, you are indirectly doing it for the political class. So expect the top members of the political class, especially in the south, to support him, because northerners are pulling away. So this is clearly the people versus the political class. And usually in Nigerian politics, the people are the least important in the grand scheme of things. But that is because the people have refused to be wise. The people have refused to unite to violently demand better for themselves. If the people can unite and say no, the day the people begin to prioritize themselves, it is game over for corrupt politicians in this country. But if the people don't do that, all that we are doing and saying is just a waste of time. Now, let us look at the top stories. First is that response from the Northern APC, the CPC bloc. That response has put more pressure on Tinubu. And next is that disgraceful report from IMF. The IMF has betrayed Tinubu with their assessment of his policies after 2 years, even though they backed the policies from the beginning. But now they are saying that the policies have not produced any result. Not only are they saying that the policies have not produced any result now, they are also saying that the economic future under Tinubu is marred with uncertainty. What a calamity. Let's start by taking that update from the CPC block of the APC. Look at how the papers reported it. 2027, you can't speak for CPC block, Malami tells Almakura Group. Former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Dr. Abubakar Malami San, has dismissed claims by Senator Umaru Tanko Almakura's group that members of the Congress for Progressive Change CPC bloc of All Progressive Congress APC had ruled out defection and endorsed Bola Tinubu for 2027 elections. Malami, who spoke through his media aide Mohammed Bello Doka, said the CPC bloc, which was former President Muhammad Buhari's platform, said the bloc was the only entity that could speak on whether or not it was leaving the APC and not Almakura's group. When you say CPC bloc, one needs to know who they are referring to. Is it the likes of Senator Umar Tanko Almakura, Adamu Masari, and Faruku Adamu Aliyu, who a few months ago had been throwing Buhari under the bus in desperate attempts to gain relevance that should decide for the bloc? Malami queried. He described their decision as personal, with no connection with CPC bloc, adding that it was for them to gain relevance in the APC for personal benefits. Now, the bottom line here is that rumors began spreading all over Nigeria that the CPC bloc, which is the northern bloc of the APC, was about to pull out from the APC. So these guys, Almakura and Masari, quickly came out to debunk the rumor that it is not true that the CPC bloc has in fact endorsed Tinubu for 2027. Meanwhile, these are the same guys that have been insulting Buhari, saying that he left a bad country for Tinubu to come and take over. So obviously, these ones are on Tinubu's side. Now, the guys on Buhari's side now came out and said, it is not these people that are on Tinubu's side that will speak for us. We, the CPC bloc, will take our decision on our own. And as soon as they responded that way, the succor that the Tinubu camp was, gathering from the statements from Almakura and Masari fell down flat, because Malami coming out to say this means that the CPC bloc have almost made up their minds to dump the APC. And isn't that what we want? For me, there is nothing I want more than a disunited APC. I don't care if the northern bloc is fair to Tinubu or not. All I care about is a situation where Nigeria will begin to work again. And for that to happen, the APC needs to scatter. Yes, the north didn't put the kind of pressure they are putting on Tinubu on Buhari. But where was the South under Buhari? Who stopped them from putting pressure on Buhari? Their plan was to let Buhari destroy the country however he wanted, then Tinubu will come and continue. And then the North will also have to be quiet for Tinubu to destroy the country however he wants. But how long are we going to continue doing that? I pray with all that is within me that the northern bloc of the APC, which is the CPC bloc, will dump this evil party called APC. Amen. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to that, that report from IMF on Tinubu regime began circulating. After pretending to support Tinubu's policies, IMF have sent this disgraceful scorecard to Tinubu in faraway London as he prepares to celebrate 2 years in office. Look at how the papers reported it. The International Monetary Fund said on Friday that the Nigerian government's tough economic reforms have yet to benefit the average citizen nearly 2 years after their introduction. After assuming office in May 2023, Bola Ahmed Tinubu launched a sweeping economic reform program which both the government and the IMF described as necessary to correct the country's public finances. However, these measures have come at a cost for many ordinary Nigerians who are experiencing the worst cost of living crisis in a generation. The government has taken important steps to stabilize the economy, enhance resilience, and support growth, wrote Excel Shimelfening, IMF mission chief for Nigeria, in a statement. But those gains have yet to benefit all Nigerians as poverty and food insecurity remain high, he added. Following nearly 2 weeks of routine discussions with government officials and civil society representatives in the country, the outlook is marked by significant uncertainty, he warned, noting that increased global uncertainty and falling oil prices will also impact the Nigerian economy. The reform measures include the liberalization of the battered naira, the removal of fuel subsidies, which had kept petrol prices low for decades, and the ending the central bank's financing of the fiscal deficit. In October, the World Bank reported that poverty in Nigeria had surged over the past 6 years, now affecting more than half of the population, with 129 million people living in poverty. Wow, you heard that. Poverty and food insecurity remain very high, and the outlook is marked by significant uncertainty. Those were the words of IMF describing Tinubu's 2 years in office. Now, a lot of Nigerians have come out to blast Tinubu after this report by the IMF, and at the same time, blast the IMF for supporting Tinubu's policies and then turning around 2 years later to say that they are not impactful. But one thing you have to note in all this is that the policies themselves are not necessarily the cause of this level of poverty in Nigeria. It is the lack of sincerity and the corruption on the part of Tinubu and his cabinet. For instance, Wale Edun was asked to tell Nigerians what they have done as an administration with all the money they claim to have saved from subsidy removal. What was his answer? He requested a closed-door session without the press. Till today, no one knows what he discussed with the senators because it was at the National Assembly. Perhaps he just made them an offer to let the matter die. And removal of fuel subsidy is supposed to discourage the importation of petrol now that we have the Dangote refinery. And Peter Obi said that when he removes subsidy partially, he's also going to work on modular refineries so that the price can begin to come down, in no time. The whole idea is supposed to discourage importation of petrol. But Tinubu himself is in the petrol importation business. So he began working against Dangote refinery. That is why we have not been able to get the price of petrol down ever since this man came into office. And what about the massive oil theft that has been allowed to go on? And after all this, they still took loans summing up to 55.2 trillion in just 23 months, thereby destroying the naira. So even though they have returned to backing the naira, it still keeps falling against the dollar because of the numerous loans that they have been taking to steal. So it is not just about the policies alone. It is the people that are in charge of the nation and these policies. Look at how Nigerians reacted. Let's take some of the tweet reactions. This tweet here by Tunde Alobe says, Tinubu's reform will never benefit an average citizens. He runs a very corrupt government. Likewise, most of the state governors. That is it. It is not about introducing strategies. I keep saying it. Once there is the culture of corruption, it will always defeat any strategy you come up with. And Olodo here says, the same IMF and World Bank that pushed and supported and praised Tinubu for these reforms. No African leader that wants the good of his people should listen to the IMF and World Bank at all. Yes, you have a point. You shouldn't be listening to them. But I am telling you that if you have somebody like His Excellency Peter Obi, working on the removal of subsidy and the floating of the naira, it can never, ever turn out the way it has turned out under Tinubu. And this tweet here by Oluwase Ilawal says, it is absolute fact. It only benefits the politicians, the rich businessmen and contractors. They exploited us. The civil servants spent all their salaries on transport and feeding. They cut off middle class in less than 2 years. Economy only improves in their accounts. That is it. Ogechukwu here says, Daniel Buala and Ononuga should come and attack IMF as he used to attack other critics. Let me check something. Of course, they can't do that. And I am sure that they have been preparing their notes, the address that Tinubu will come and read out as a celebration of his 2 years in office. They would have been preparing it, saying how IMF and Fitch and all those other bodies have supported their policies. But this one now coming out of the IMF is a big blow to them. I wonder what they are going to say now. The IMF has come out to say that poverty, unemployment, food insecurity everywhere, and that even the economic future is marked with significant uncertainty. What a damning report from the IMF. But I am not surprised. This is the APC. I didn't expect anything less from the Tinubu regime. They have come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And if Nigerians allow them to continue, then let us get ready for this country to sink to the lowest of lows forever. Anyway, make I leave am here. Make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news wey una go like. Why? Because of una. Na I dey here, so don't go away. Don't go away.